अच्छा सही. Okay. So what is ingestion? This diagram comes in the exam for labeling. Okay. So you have to see the labeling. So ingestion is act of taking the food in your mouth. Like before digestion, you have to eat the food. So this step is ingestion. The next step after keeping the food in the mouth is you have
Oh
to chew
yeah,
the
we're
food.
done with this.
We have done this ना. अच्छा ठीक है चलो एक
Yeah.
बार हम लोग रिवाइज कर लेते हैं. So the act of
Okay.
chewing the food is mastication, and chewing is important. Why it is important? Because you have to crush the food so that it will become easy to swallow. And the surface area of the food will increase when it will be crushed. So when the surface area of the food will increase, each and every particle will be come in contact with the enzymes and digestion can takes place. We have done this. So quickly हम लोग एक just brush up कर लेते हैं कि digestion in it begins in mouth, and in our mouth we have got 3 pairs of salivary glands. They produce saliva. Saliva is a watery liquid, pH of 7, and it contains an enzyme salivary amylase, and salivary amylase breakdowns. There is a mistake over here. Salivary amylase break down starch into maltose. So this thing, there is a typing mistake. It should be like this. It should be like this. Like starch is broken down into a much simpler form, not the simplest form, maltose, by the action of salivary amylase. So enzymes are we will do enzymes after finishing digestion. Enzymes भी हम लोग करेंगे. So enzymes are such type of the biological catalyst which increase the chemical reaction, speed up the chemical reactions and all. So they will be digested. They will digest the starch into maltose. And in our mouth, after a portion of the food is digested, the food is converted into a paste form, which is called bolus. And this bolus is so slippery and soft that we can easily swallow. Okay. Achha, now how we are going to swallow the food? So you can see over here. Uh, this is our nasal cavity. This is our mouth. In between, there is the hard palate. Hard palate is the roof of your mouth. The roof of your mouth. And just at the back of the hard palate, there is a soft tail-like structure, a piece of flesh. Under your tongue, there is a small lid-like structure. This one, which is called epiglottis. This is epiglottis, a small lid-like structure which we cannot see and cannot feel, but it is there under our tongue, inside. And this one is our windpipe, and this is our food pipe. So you can understand that food pipe is so narrow, windpipe is quite broader. So when you are pushing the food at the back of your mouth, the food is coming into this region. So this region is our throat. And the biological word for throat is pharynx. Pharynx. Biological word for throat is pharynx. So the food will come into the bolus, will come into the pharynx, and here there are 3 openings where the food can go. One is it can go in the nasal cavity. Second, it can go in the windpipe. And third, it has to go in the food pipe. So if it goes in the nasal cavity or windpipe, a person can choke. A person can even choke to death. So how this thing is prevented? This thing is prevented when you are swallowing the food. That time your soft palate will change its position and will partially close your nasal cavity from behind. At the same time, your windpipe is lifted upward and it comes right under your epiglottis. So your nasal cavity is closed, your windpipe is closed. What does it mean? Your respiratory tract is closed. And in that time, just for an instant, it happens, the food goes down your food pipe, and again your your soft palate comes back to its position and your windpipe goes down. And then you again start breathing. So what does it mean? When we are swallowing the food just for an instant, just for the blink of an eye, we do not breathe. Breathing and swallowing cannot go hand in hand. So when you are swallowing the food, just for the blink of an eye, you do not breathe because your respiratory tract is closed. Okay. Now, what is peristalsis? You can see our food pipe and our stomach. Both of them are made up of circular and longitudinal muscles. And our food pipe is so narrow that the bolus has to push down. Bolus has to push down like this. So how the bolus is going to push down? The circular muscles and the longitudinal muscle. The circular muscles are going along the circular way and the longitudinal muscles are going along the length. So they contract and relax simultaneously one after another. So when they contract and relax, this type of wave like motion is created and the food is pushed down. This type of wave like motion is created and the food is pushed down the food pipe. So peristalsis is the wave-like motion and it is important to push the food down or else the food will stuck in our food pipe. Achha. Then when the food comes near the stomach, I told you before also.
Yes.
Okay, so when the bolus comes near the stomach, at the entrance of the stomach and at the exit of the stomach, there are two rings of muscles. They are called sphincter muscles. So when the bolus come near this one, which is called cardiac sphincter. So this is cardiac sphincter and this one is the pyloric sphincter. So the cardiac sphincter will relax open. The bolus enters the stomach and the cardiac sphincter is, contracts and closes again. Again, you will take another bite. The cardiac sphincter opens. The bolus comes down and again it closes. So this opening and closing of cardiac sphincter keep on going as long as we are eating. And it is not left open permanently so that when peristalsis takes place in the food pipe and in the stomach, the food may not go back in the reverse direction and the person may not vomit. Once you finish eating the food, it will be permanently closed and the cardiac sphincter is also permanently closed. The food is locked up in the stomach. The food is locked up in the stomach for 4 or 5 hours. And before 4 or 5 hours, we do not feel hungry because the process of digestion is taking place in the stomach. Achha. Now see, in our stomach is a bag-like structure. It has got thick muscular walls. So you can see how thick the wall of stomach is. And in the wall of the stomach, there are tiny glands, millions of them. And all the inner lining of the stomach, is lined with mucus, a slippery liquid, all inside not only stomach, our food pipe and our intestine, there is a layer of mucus so that the enzymes may not damage the wall. Achha. Then these gastric glands, they produce gastric juice. So what is the function of gastric juice? This gastric juice contains hydrochloric acid and an enzyme pepsinogen. Okay, so hydrochloric acid is killing the germs in our food and also it is helping pepsinogen enzyme to become activated into pepsin. Pepsinogen is an inactive form and then pepsin is the active form. So the gastric juice, the pepsinogen and hydrochloric acid, it takes some time. These two mix up with each other. The pH goes down because of HCl. And then pepsinogen is converted into pepsin. And then this pepsin will break down our proteins in our food into peptides. A simpler form, proteins into peptides. And then after one more component is digested in our stomach, the food is converted into a watery liquid called chyme. So a watery, creamy liquid is formed in our stomach, which is called chyme. Acha. So up to this much we had done in the previous class. Now, now I am going to the next slide. This one. Okay, now see. I don't know whether we have done this one or not in the previous class. I don't remember. Now the food is converted into chyme here, and now the pyloric sphincter will relax open, and only few drops of chyme will come in the duodenum, and then it closes again. Why only few drops of chyme will come in the duodenum? Because first of all, duodenum is very small. It cannot take the entire chyme in it. Second is so that the complete digestion can take place. So after every few seconds, a peristalsis comes in our stomach. Pyloric sphincter opens. Few drops of chyme comes in the duodenum. Digestion takes place. It moves forward. Again, peristalsis takes place. Pyloric sphincter opens. Few drops of chyme come and digestion takes place. And this process takes a very long time, by the way. So when the chyme comes over here, this is the duodenum, the first part of our small intestine. The first part of our small intestine is duodenum. Now, this duodenum is connected with two main digestive glands. One is the liver. So this is our liver, a large reddish brown color, this part. And this liver is not one continuous thing. It consists of two parts. This is one part and this is another part, bilobed. It has got two lobes. And then it has a rounded structure called gallbladder. And then gallbladder is connected with a tube called bile duct. And then this bile duct comes into the duodenum. Similarly, there is another gland called pancreas. So you can see there is a leaf-like gland, pancreas. Half of it is hidden behind the stomach. And pancreas is connected with a pancreatic duct with the duodenum. Now, liver produces a digestive juice called bile, which remains stored in the gallbladder. As soon as chyme comes in the duodenum, this bile via bile duct comes inside the duodenum and mixes with the chyme. Okay. So what is the function of this bile? The function of this bile is this bile does not contain any enzyme. Okay. Rather, bile is made up of salts and it has a pH slightly, above 7. Above 7. So you can say it is slightly alkaline in nature. Slightly alkaline in nature. So it mixes up with the acidic chyme. So in chemistry, there is a chemical reaction that acid reacts with alkali and forms salt and water. And this is called neutralization reaction. So remember, in our duodenum, neutralization reaction is taking place. What is neutralization reaction? Acid and alkali react with each other and form salt and water. So neutralization reaction takes place. So the chyme is neutralized in the duodenum. And it is happening because of the bile and pancreatic juice. Both of them are slightly alkaline. So what is the function of bile? Bile emulsifies fats. Okay, what is the meaning of emulsify? Emulsify means just the bigger molecules are chopped into the tiny molecules, but it is not digestion. It is not digestion. Just the bigger particles will be chopped into tiny particles and the surface area of the fats will increase. Okay, surface area of the fats increases for further digestion. Okay, for further digestion to takes place. Now, pancreatic juice is released and pancreatic juice is also alkaline in nature. Okay, So, complete neutralization is taking place. And pancreatic juice contains three enzymes. What are those three enzymes pancreatic juice contain? Now, let me erase this. You will see the recording later and you will copy down the important points. See, that part is by mistake missing, That's why I was writing. Achha, let me write here. So this pancreas produces pancreatic juice. Okay. Pancreas producing pancreatic juice. And pancreatic juice contain three enzymes. The enzymes were not there in the bile. And what are those three enzymes? Those three enzymes were pancreatic amylase. Okay. Pancreatic amylase. So what pancreatic amylase does? The work which was left half by salivary amylase is now completed by pancreatic amylase. So salivary amylase in our mouth has already digested starch to maltose. Pancreatic amylase break down maltose into glucose. Maltose into glucose. The digestion of starch will be complete in the duodenum. Similarly, there is another enzyme, trypsin. So trypsin name is similar to pepsin. So what this trypsin is doing, the work which is half done by pepsin. So pepsin in our stomach has digested proteins into peptides. So trypsin digests or break down peptides into final simplest form amino acids. So the digestion of proteins is also done complete in our duodenum. Now, the third enzyme is lipase. Lipase. So what lipase is doing? Lipase now digests emulsified fats, the fats which are already being chopped by the bile. The surface area has increased. Now the digestion has become easier. So lipase digests emulsified fats into the simplest final form, fatty acids and glycerols, because the fats are the combination of fatty acids and glycerol, so they will be separated. So if you combine fatty acids and glycerol, it will become a molecule of fat. If you break down a molecule of fat, it will be transformed into fatty acids and glycerol. So the fats, emulsified fats, are digested into fatty acids and glycerol, and the digestion is complete in our duodenum. The digestion is complete in our duodenum. Okay. Now, the food now is moving in the forward direction. So what is the later part? The later part of small intestine is ileum. So this coiled tube is ileum. It is very long, 5 to 6 meter, and it is coiled and filling up the entire lower abdominal region of a person. So in this entire, ileum, the chyme will be filled up. Okay. And from here, what happens? Already the digestion has been done. From here, the tiny molecules of glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids will start going into the blood. Blood में जाएंगे सारे molecules, and that is absorption. So up to duodenum, digestion is taking place. In the later part, from here till end, only absorption will be taking place. So from here, what is the meaning of absorption? The molecules of fatty acids, glycerols, amino acids, glucose, vitamins, minerals, all of them will start releasing in the blood. Now, how ileum is the structure of ileum from inside? You can see these things, the finger-like projections. So these finger-like projections are called villi. Villi, V-I-L-L-I, villi plural, and singular will be villus. Just like towel. Achha. The surface inside the ileum is just like a towel. Why? Because it increases the surface area for absorption. Think about, we wipe our face, wet face with a towel. It dries up very quickly. But if you wipe your wet face with a plain piece of cloth, it will not be wiped up or dry up quickly. You know the reason why? The plain cloth has a small surface area and the towel has got a large surface. Suppose this is the towel. On the surface of the tower, there are millions and trillions and zillions of furs. And each and every fur is going to absorb the water from your wet face. So the absorption will increase trillions and zillions of time, isn't it? On the other hand, if there is a plain piece of cloth, the surface area is reduced trillions of time because there is a plain surface. And only this plain surface, whatever it can absorb, it will absorb. The face will not be completely dried up. The same thing is going on over here. Why Allah has given these villi, the furry things inside our ileum, so that the molecules of glucose, amino acid, and fatty acid will be going into the blood through each and every villi. So it will increase millions of time. Quickly, the food will be released in the blood. We do not have to wait. Quickly, the food molecules, the digested food molecules will be coming into the blood. Acha, now, how it look like? Dekho, how it is a single villus. This is the single villus. So there are some features of the single villus. The features of the single villus, you can see this outermost layer. It is made up of single cells. This outermost lining of the villus is made up of single cells. So whatever the molecules of glucose, amino acid, and fatty acids are here, they can easily cross this single celled layer. Suppose if this was a thick skin, it would have taken long time for the molecules to pass through it. So the process would have been slowed down. The process is faster because it is first of all, it is so delicate. And then it is made up of single celled lining so that the molecules can easily cross it. Then the villus is surrounded by a network of blood vessels. You can see the blue one are and red ones. The red ones are bringing oxygenated blood and the blue ones are taking away the deoxygenated blood. So it is richly supplied with blood vessels. The third thing you can see inside the villus, a green color tube you can see inside the villus. What is this green color tube inside the villus? This is called lacteal. What is lacteal? Lacteal is a fine branch of our lymphatic system. Fine branch of our lymphatic system. What is our lymphatic system? The system which helps us to fight against the infections. In our whole body, in our whole body, if we open the human body, we will see that there are tube-like structures running side by side. What are those tube-like structure? A vein, then an artery, then a nerve, and then a lacteal. Just like if you open a CPU, you will see green color, white color, yellow color, red color wires. Similarly, when we open the human body or the body of any animal from inside, we will see veins which carry the deoxygenated blood, arteries which carry the oxygenated blood, nerves are there, lacteals are there throughout our body, head to toe. So what are these lacteals actually? They are the part of our lymphatic system, the system with which we fight against the infections. Inside the lacteal, like inside the arteries and veins, there is blood. What is inside the lacteal? Inside the lacteal, there is a liquid which is called lymph. And inside this lymph, we have got our white blood cells, which are the soldiers in our body to fight against the infection. Like in any country, where do the soldiers live? They live in the barracks. Where are the barracks? Near the border of a country. So in our body, we have soldiers. Those are white blood cells. Where do they live? They live in the barracks. What are those barracks? These lacteals, lymphatic system. So whenever any germ enter in our body, the white blood cells inside this liquid lymph comes out and they kill the germs. So is this idea clear, Hiba?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, अब क्या होगा? What will happen now? That the molecules, for example, ये देखो रेड कलर मॉलिक्यूल है ग्लूकोज का, एंड फॉर एग्जांपल से ये ब्लू कलर मॉलिक्यूल है अमाइनो एसिड्स का, एंड ये येलो कलर मॉलिक्यूल है फैटी एसिड्स का. अब क्या होगा? द मॉलिक्यूल ऑफ ग्लूकोज एंड अमाइनो एसिड्स डायरेक्टली दे विल क्रॉस द थिन लाइनिंग ऑफ विलस एंड दे विल गेट इनसाइड द ब्लड वेसल के अंदर चले जाएंगे, एंड द ब्लड विल टेक देम अवे. Absorption of glucose and amino acid done. Acha, what will happen to this yellow color fatty acids and glycerol molecule? They will also cross the lining of the villus, but instead of going into the blood, they will go into the lacteal के अंदर जाएंगे, and they will circulate inside our whole lymphatic system के अंदर fatty acids पहले circulate करेंगे, उसके बाद they will come in the blood but not directly in the blood. Maybe अगर directly blood में आ जाए तो हम लोगों का कोलेस्ट्रॉल या फैटी जो लेवल है वो बहुत राइज हो जाए. मे बी इट माइट हैपन दैट हम लोगों के लिम्फेटिक सिस्टम को फैट्स की जरूरत है ज्यादा. So first of all, the fats will circulate in the lymphatic system, and those fats will come after the entire circulation will come in the blood. सही है ना? अच्छा, सो थोड़ा सा अच्छा मुझे बताना व्हेन यू हैव टू गो फॉर नमाज, तो मैं फिर वहां पर स्टॉप कर दूंगी. बिकॉज आई डोंट नो व्हाट टाइम यू विल गो.
Okay.
अच्छा, अभी तो टाइम है ना?
Yes, थोड़ा सा.
अच्छा. Adaptation of the ileum. हम लोग adapt. अच्छा, what do you understand by the term adaptation? Have you ever heard the name of adaptation? Adaptation का
Sorry.
मतलब है, हाँ, adaptation का मतलब है how something is best suited for its function. So what are the features for which ileum is best suited for the process of absorption? So वो जो features है ना उसको हम adaptation बोलेंगे. In for these features ileum is the best part for the absorption. So क्या features है देखो. तो features ये हैं कि absorption of food takes place in the ileum. Food from ileum, the simple soluble molecules of glucose, amino acids, and fatty acid start diffusing into the blood. Ileum has some special features. What are those special features? It is 5 to 6 meters long. So it has a large surface area. जितना ज़्यादा surface area होगा उतना quick diffusion होगा food का. It is so long, so long, so long that a huge amount of molecules of glucose, amino acids, fatty acids are filled up over here, and they will at a time huge amount of molecules will transfer into the blood. अच्छा, दूसरा क्या है? It is richly supplied with blood vessels. So huge amount of blood is coming, taking away the huge amount of the food molecules. उसके बाद क्या है? Internal surface area is increased by the finger-like projections called villi. Each and every villi से absorption of food हो रहा है. So you can see the villus is it's one cell thin, surrounded by the blood vessels, and it contains lacteal inside it. It is containing arteries and veins, and the lacteal inside contain a fluid called lymph. So ये अभी मैंने पूरा आपको ये समझाया है कि glucose and amino acid molecules diffuse into the blood, whereas the fatty acids molecule go into the lacteal. सही है ना? अच्छा, ब्लड में जाने के बाद क्या होगा? What will happen when they will go into the blood? देखो अब मैं यहाँ पर दिखाती हूँ आपको. अच्छा, अभी देखो यहाँ पर ये जो थी ये हमारी बहुत सारी विलस थी, विलाई, बहुत सारी विलाई। ओके, सो लेट मी ड्रॉ इट विथ, ये बहुत सारी विलाई, finger like projection all inside our ileum, and they all are surrounded by blood vessels. So इनके चारों तरफ wrap किया हुआ है blood vessels ने इनको, like this, all of them are wrapped with the blood vessels like this. अब ये सारे ब्लड वेसल्स जो हैं इनमें फूड मॉलिक्यूल्स, ग्लूकोज, अमाइनो एसिड्स एंड विटामिन्स, मिनरल्स, एक्सेप्ट फैटी एसिड्स, फैटी एसिड अभी नहीं जाएंगे, ब्लड में चले गए। अब ये ब्लड कहाँ जाएगा? जितने भी ब्लड वेसल्स हैं ऑल अराउंड द वेलस, दे विल इवेंचुअली ड्रेन द ब्लड इन अ बिग ब्लड वेसल, और उस ब्लड वेसल का नाम क्या है? हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेन, हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेन, हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेन। सो यहाँ से ब्लड ग्लूकोज एंड अमाइनो एसिड्स एंड मिनरल्स एंड विटामिन्स लेके द ब्लड विल मेक इट्स वे इनटू द हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेन। और ये हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेन किधर जा रही है ब्लड लेके? दिस हेपेटिक पोर्टल वेन इज टेकिंग द ब्लड इन आवर लिवर, लिवर में जा रही है, like this is our liver, so the blood is going into the liver like this. So liver is receiving the blood rich in glucose, amino acid and fatty acid. liver का यहाँ पर बहुत सारा काम है। क्या काम है liver का? liver will decide, जितना ग्लूकोज यहाँ पर आ रहा है, liver will decide how much glucose liver is going to release in the general blood circulation. यहाँ से जो ब्लड निकलेगा जनरल ब्लड सर्कुलेशन में हो जाएगा, यहाँ से हमारी पूरी बॉडी में वो ब्लड सर्कुलेट होगा। सो लिवर विल डिसाइड हाउ मच ग्लूकोज आवर बॉडी नीड। अगर जितना भी ग्लूकोज आ रहा है, अगर लिवर वो सारा ग्लूकोज ही बाहर फेंक दे तो हमारा ब्लड ग्लूकोज लेवल क्या होगा? शूट अप हो जाएगा। एंड दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस इन द डायबिटिक पीपल। उन लोगों का लिवर कंफ्यूज है।
Miss,
यस,
could you give me 2 minutes? I'm gonna go washroom.
अच्छा, ओके, श्योर। So only that much glucose will be released in the blood. So what will happen to the rest of the glucose? The rest of the glucose will store in the liver in the form of glycogen. So what is the difference in between glucose and glycogen? So glucose is made up of simple tiny molecules, whereas glycogen is a complex chain-like structure. So why it is stored in the form of glycogen? Why not in the form of glucose? Because glucose will easily diffuse out of the cells of the liver. Liver will not be able to hold back the glucose molecules. So liver क्या करेगा? इन molecules को एक chain like structure बना देगा जिसका नाम है glycogen. तो वो glycogen इस liver के अंदर store रहेगा. How long? Hardly for 6 hours. And after 6 hours, you will be needing the glucose again. So what will happen then? After 6 hours, liver will break down the glycogen into glucose and will release it in the blood. The molecules will diffuse into the blood and will be reaching to the entire body. So this was the story of the absorption of glucose. So now what will happen to the amino acid molecules? Okay, so amino acid molecules will also reach our liver. सही है ना? amino acid molecules भी हमारे liver में आ गए. So liver will decide how many molecules will be released in the general blood circulation. But if they are excess, बहुत सारे अगर हैं, तो liver क्या करेगा? Liver will break down the amino acid molecules. इस प्रोसेस को हम बोलेंगे deamination. What is deamination? Liver will break down the amino acid molecules into two components, glucose and urea. Glucose either will diffuse into the blood if needed or will store in the liver as glycogen for some time. Whereas urea is an extremely poisonous, toxic substance. Liver cannot keep urea within itself, otherwise liver will die. So in any way, as soon as possible, liver is going to release the urea in the blood. Blood में चला जाएगा urea. अच्छा, blood से ये blood क्या करेगा? ये urea को blood, इधर से जो blood निकलेगा ना, liver से जो blood निकलेगा वो किधर जाएगा? वो पहले जाएगा हमारे हार्ट में जाएगा, क्योंकि हार्ट इस ब्लड को पूरी बॉडी में पंप करेगा ना, तो इसको तो एक पंप के पास जाना पड़ेगा। अब हार्ट के पास जो ये ब्लड आ रहा है रिच इन ग्लूकोज, फाइन, हार्ट इज हैप्पी, हार्ट इज सेंडिंग द पंपिंग द ग्लूकोज टू द एंटायर बॉडी। बट जब ये यूरिया हार्ट के पास जाएगा ना, तो हार्ट विल नॉट कीप द यूरिया विद इट, अदरवाइज हार्ट ही डैमेज हो जाएगा। तो हार्ट क्या करेगा, ये यूरिया को पंप कर देगा, पंप आउट कर देगा। किधर भेज देगा इस यूरिया को, इस यूरिया को भेज देगा हमारी किडनीज के पास। और किडनीज का क्या काम है, किडनीज विल फ्लश दिस यूरिया आउट ऑफ अवर बॉडी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ यूरिन। Why the urine is called urine? Because it contains urea. It's a compound of urea. Did you understand, Hiba, this idea?
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छा, फिर इसके बाद vitamins और minerals जो है, जो स्टोर होंगे वो इधर स्टोर होंगे, and then the rest of them will come in the blood. The blood will go to the heart will pump the blood, और हमारी पूरी बॉडी में चले जाएंगे ग्लूकोज के मॉलिक्यूल्स, अमाइनो एसिड्स, vitamins, minerals, and excess of amino acids will be deaminated, will be broken down to make a one useful thing which is the fuel of our body, and another one is the waste product. अच्छा, so this is called the absorption of the digested food. अब क्या होगा, फैटी एसिड्स की तो कहानी बीच में ही रह गई। सो फैटी एसिड्स के साथ क्या होगा कि फैटी एसिड्स इवेंचुअली विल कम इन द ब्लड, दे आर नॉट गोइंग इनटू द लिवर, ठीक है ना, पूरा they were circulating in the lymphatic system, and then they will be coming into the general blood circulation, and then the heart is going to pump the fatty acids, और fatty acids हमारे पूरे बॉडी में सर्कुलेट करेंगे, और fatty acids eventually fatty acids, glucose, amino acids, eventually all of them will make their way into our cells, हमारे cells में चले जाएंगे, because our cells need them. So fatty acids के साथ ग्लूकोज से शुरू करते हैं. What will happen to the glucose? When the glucose will get inside our cells, it will be used in cellular respiration. ऑक्सीजन के साथ रिएक्ट करेगा माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया के अंदर, और एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करेगा in the form of ATP. So the glucose molecules are going inside the cells, and cellular respiration में they will participate, react with oxygen and produce energy in the form of ATP. अच्छा, लेकिन ग्लूकोज मॉलिक्यूल अगर कंटिन्यूअसली आ ही रहे हैं हमारे सेल के अंदर, सही है ना, तो क्या होगा, उसके बाद क्या होगा, एक्सेस ऑफ ग्लूकोज विल बी स्टोर्ड इन आवर सेल साइटोप्लाज्म इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ग्लाइकोजन. अब क्या हो रहा है, ये प्रोसेस, ये जो प्रोसेस अभी चल रहा है ना, दिस इज नॉट एब्जॉर्प्शन, दिस इज एसिमिलेशन. एब्जॉर्प्शन क्या था, द मॉलिक्यूल्स आर गोइंग इनटू द ब्लड, from blood into the liver, from liver into the general blood circulation. Up to this much was absorption. Ab general blood circulation say these molecules are getting inside our cells and tissues. These molecules are getting inside our cells and tissues, and now they are going to make something useful. They are going to make something complex in our cells, and that is called assimilation. Ab assimilation shuru ho gaya. The glucose molecules are getting inside our cells. Some of them are used up to produce a useful thing, ATP. But if they are excess, they will be chained in our cells in the form of glycogen for future use. अगर फ्यूचर में जरूरत पड़े, they will be broken down, and then they will participate in the cellular respiration. But अगर फ्यूचर में भी यूज नहीं हो रहे हैं, बिकॉज हम इतना ही कार्बोहाइड्रेट और स्टार्च खा रहे हैं, इतना ग्लूकोज आ रहा है कि ये फ्यूचर में भी यूज नहीं हो रहा है, तो यू नो व्हाट विल हैपन, eventually this glycogen will be converted into fats. The glycogen will be eventually converted into fats. How come it is possible, glycogen fats में convert कैसे होगा, because the main components of glucose and fats is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So they can convert one into another. Fats can become glucose and glucose can become fat. अच्छा, continuously अब यहाँ पर ये fat में तब्दील हो रहा है, ये fat ड्रॉपलेट बड़ा हो रहा है, बड़े होते 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 इवेंचुअली एक टाइम आएगा कि ये साइटोप्लाज्म का मेजर पार्ट ले लेगा. एवरीथिंग इज पुश्ड टू वन साइड, एंड दिस सेल बिकम अ फैटी सेल. ये सेल एक बन जाएगा फैटी सेल, और बहुत सारे फैटी सेल्स मिलकर क्या बनाएंगे, एडिपोज टिश्यू बनाएंगे. व्हाट इज एडिपोज टिश्यू, फैटी टिश्यू, एडिपोज टिश्यूज बनाएंगे. तो ये एडिपोज टिश्यू जो पूरा फैट की एक लेयर है समझो, ये किधर जाएंगे, वेयर दे विल गो, दे विल डिपॉजिट इन अवर बॉडी एंड मेक अस ओबीस. हम लोगों को ओबीस कर देगा, मोटा कर देगा. इसलिए ज्यादा स्टार्च और कार्बोहाइड्रेट खाने से भी आदमी मोटा क्यों हो जाता है, बिकॉज इतनी ज्यादा स्टार्च और कार्बोहाइड्रेट खाने से इतना ज्यादा ग्लूकोज हमारे सेल्स में जा रहा है कि वो ग्लूकोज इवेंचुअली फैट में कन्वर्ट हो रहा है. एंड इट कैन बी रिवर्स्ड, रिवर्स भी किया जा सकता है इसको। कैसे रिवर्स किया जा सकता है? ग्लूकोज की सप्लाई को हम कट डाउन कर देंगे या कम कर देंगे। अब फ्यूल यहाँ पर कम हो गया है, सो हमारा सेल एनर्जी कैसे प्रोड्यूस करेगा? अगेन फैट को कन्वर्ट करेगा ग्लूकोज में और सेल्यूलर रेस्पिरेशन होगी। तो अब ऐसा ऐसा क्या होगा? दिस फैट इज बर्न्ड, फैट बर्न हो रहा है, इट इज बीन कन्वर्टेड इनटू ग्लूकोज बिकॉज यू आर नॉट गिविंग योर बॉडी इनफ ग्लूकोज। ठीक है ना? तो अब ये फैट ब्रेक डाउन होकर ग्लूकोज बनाएगा, एनर्जी में यूज अप हो जाएगा। इस प्रोसेस को और भी एक्सेलरेट किया जा सकता है वर्कआउट करके। सो अ पर्सन कैन बिकम ओबीस, फिर पर्सन स्लिम भी हो सकता है ना, अगर ओबीस होगा तो फिर स्लिम भी हो सकता है। सो दिस वाज द एसिमिलेशन ऑफ ग्लूकोज। अब हम एसिमिलेशन ऑफ फैटी एसिड्स के चले जाएं। सो फैटी एसिड्स विल गो इनटू द सेल एंड नाउ दे आर वेटिंग, they are waiting. Why they are waiting? Because enough glucose is there to provide energy, so they are waiting for their turn. If glucose will not be there enough, then they will participate in cellular respiration and give you energy. Otherwise वो fatty acid इधर store होते 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 again adipose tissue बनाएंगे and make a person obese. तो ज्यादा फैट खाने से भी आदमी मोटा हो जाएगा। ठीक है ना? अच्छा, अब ये तो फैट की एसिमिलेशन थी। amino acids, what will happen to the amino acids? So amino acid will get inside the cells, amino acid हमारे cells में जाएंगे and amino acids will be utilized, यूटिलाइज हो जाएंगे। कैसे यूटिलाइज हो जाएंगे? दे विल बी यूज्ड अप इन द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ एंजाइम्स, हमारा सेल इसको लेके एंजाइम्स बनाएगा, हॉर्मोन्स बनाएगा, सेल मेम्ब्रेन्स बनाएगा बिकॉज द सेल मेम्ब्रेन्स आर मेड अप ऑफ प्रोटीन्स। ओके, मसल्स बनेंगे हमारे, बॉडी हील अप होगी, अगर कोई वेयर एंड टेयर हो गई है तो बॉडी हील अप होगी। सही है ना? अप टू दिस मच इज क्लियर?
Yes, miss.
अच्छा, अब क्या होगा? व्हाट इज द लेटर पार्ट? अच्छा, हाउ मच टाइम इज लेफ्ट फॉर यू?
Oh yeah, it's 7:50.
क्या?
10 minutes.
शुड आई स्टॉप नाउ?
Yes, I think.
अच्छा, वी विल कंटिन्यू इट अगेन टुमारो है, फिर दोबारा से हम इसको कल, हमारा इंशाल्लाह ये वाला डाइजेशन का पार्ट कंप्लीट हो जाएगा। सो ठीक है, फिर अल्लाह हाफिज, सी यू टुमारो सेम टाइम। ओके, बाय बाय।
Yes, miss. Allah Hafiz.